Hi there, this is Shrikant Sare. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about the concept of multi-threading in Java. Okay, so for this purpose, I have just taken a class known as main thread. Okay, so let us. So multi-threading is a concept which is inbuilt into the Java language. Okay, so like not like in other languages like C++, where it has external support, but multi-threading, implementing the concept of multi-threading is Java is very easy and lightweight, and it will not put any heavy load on your applications actually. Okay, and to demonstrate the simple multi-threading example in Java, so here I am taking a class. Okay, apart from our so already we have one class here which has a main, which is declared as public. So obviously the name of the source file will be the name of this class only, which is main thread.java. And then I'm creating another class here. Let me say the name of that class as thread. Okay, so thread. Okay, simply I'm putting it as thread. The most important thing, so here we have created a thread. Okay, so to understand the concept of multi-threading, you need to know the concept of thread. Okay, so what is a thread means, if you have the knowledge of or if you're browsing an internet, so in internet we have multiple tabs here. Okay, so or if you just open a browser window and have multiple tabs within the same browser window, so then we can consider those individual tabs as individual lightweight processors or threads. Okay, so threads are very helpful, so they are everywhere in all modern applications. So you can't imagine the developing high level applications without using the multi-threading technology. Okay, so it also saves us a lot of time, a lot of processor time, and by efficiently using the resources. Okay, for example, if you're developing a search application, if you have let's say you have 3 to 4 partitions in your system, so instead of sequentially searching each and every partition, so if you develop your application in such a way that you have 4 different threads simultaneously executing on all those 4 different partitions, and in that way if a normal application developed using without multi-threading might take 10 hours to search for a document or a file, if you're using multi-threading it might reduce to 1 hour or even more less. Okay, so that is the power of using multi-threading. So just coming back to our small multi-threading example in Java, the first and foremost thing is a public void run. Okay, so run method is very important thing. The run method is the most important thing in the case of multi-threading, because so whatever we are going to develop, so whatever the run method is the job of the thread. Okay, so to say it in a simple word, so whatever the job your thread is going to perform is placed inside the run method. And one thing you should be clear while defining the run method is that it should not have any arguments. So even though you can override the run method, the JVM will only consider the run method which has no arguments. Okay, so whatever the job of thread, so what your thread is intended to do, you put in the run method. Okay, so let's I have just said that in an example that if you want to develop a search application, so you can the search logic, the business logic you can put in the run method. So here we are just using this example as a demonstrative example. So I'm just taking a for loop here. I'm just taking a variable and running a for loop, let's say for 100 times or something like this, and I++. I'm just putting a system.out.println statement here just to show some output on the screen. Okay, let's say hello from thread. Okay, so hello from thread, small message here. Okay, so and then we're coming back to our main method here. So the execution of the program starts always with the main, we know that. And what I'm doing is, so in order to activate that thread. There is a miss a semicolon here. Okay, so in order to activate the thread, you need to declare an object here. Okay, so first you need to declare an object here, and before that you need to use the statement here, extends thread. I forgot that almost. So extends thread. Okay, so what is extends thread? Why I wrote this statement, why I have extended thread class means there are two different ways to, you can straight away create a class by naming it a thread and claim that it is our thread. That's not possible in Java. So there are two different ways to create a thread in Java. The first one is through extending the thread class, and the second one is through implementing the runnable interface. Okay, so we are following the first case here, which is through extending the thread class. Thread class is already defined in Java. So we need to extend the thread class so that you're able to use all these run method and various methods are there. Okay, so we have yield, we have wait, we have notify, all, we have sleep, we have interrupt, and whole lot of methods are there to use the multi-threading concept in Java, which were built in support at language level only. Okay, so we have just created a thread. So this is our thread. Okay, so this class represents the thread. Okay, so the job of the thread, or the business, the purpose of the thread is notified or is stated within the run method. Okay, so now if you want to activate the thread, or if you want to activate the thread or make use of the thread you have created, you need to create an object for the thread class here. Okay, so let me say thread t is equal to a new thread. Okay, so thread t is equal to new thread. I'm just creating an object to the thread class we have created, and in order to run that thread, you need to say something like this: t dot start. Okay, so t dot start, just a second, t dot start. Okay, so if you say t dot start, the thread automatically gets activated. Okay, so this is about the thread. Okay, so simultaneously you can have your own so let me write another for loop here. Okay, so let me just copy paste the whole thing once again to show with some more clarity that what we are going to do here. Okay, so this part belongs to the child thread, and this is executed again by the main thread only. Okay, so t dot start means the child threads gets activated and the run method executes automatically. Okay, so if you run this small application, you'll get the better idea. So I've just hit the run button here. It's taking a bit time. Come back to the full screen here. Oh, it's running. Okay, so it's running there already in the background. So okay, so if you observe the output window, hello from thread, hello from thread. Okay, I just did a small mistake, since we have this is a problem occurs if you're just habituated to copy paste things here. Okay? So if you say main thread, and let us reduce this to 10 instead of 100, so that it would not occupy the whole space here. Okay, so let me run it once again. One second. So I think it's running in the background. It's running in the background, so this is a problem with the applications like this. Okay, so okay, so we have done with the program. Let us run and see the program. Okay, so just press F6. Okay, so the output here is hello from main thread and hello from thread. Okay, so why you are getting this kind of output means so we can say straight away that since we have started the thread before executing executing the statements whatever handled by the main thread, it doesn't mean that always the thread will be executed first. Okay, so it all depends upon the thread scheduler in the JVM. So if you run the program n number of times, you might get all the time main thread, but sometimes you might get child thread also. let me run for a couple of times here. So okay, so it solely depends upon the thread scheduler and the OS level support to the multi-threading applications here. Okay, so let me do a couple of times again. So if you keep on doing like this, you one time our small main thread can also our child thread also can get the chance here. Okay, so only for that reason to demonstrate to show it running keep on running the application again and again. Okay, let me run it once again. So not getting, since we have support, OS level support, so all the time we are getting the main thread only getting executed first time, even though we have started the child thread before that. That is not the case. It all depends upon the what you call a thread scheduler. It can take any thread, the main thread it can start the child thread, or it can use in between the switch between them also. So there are so many cases are there. Okay, so this is all about simple thread example in Java. So to demonstrate once again, or to revise once again, we have created a thread class. A thread is nothing but a class here, and we have the run method within that thread class, which is used to overridden annotation. Okay, so which is used to execute the job of the thread, or the business logic, whatever the thread we wanted to intend is kept inside the run method. And we have the normal main method here, main class here, so which consists of main method. And in order to activate the thread, we need to create an object for the thread class, and then we have to start the thread method. We have to start the thread so that the run method would be activated and it is executed here. So for one last time, if you run the example here, so we might get, it depends upon the thread scheduler of the JVM to start either to execute the child thread or the main thread. It solely depends upon the thread scheduler algorithm which it uses. Run to run, system to system, the output might change. Okay, so if you the next run, or any other system, if you execute this program, you might get different output. Okay, in such a way that first the child thread might get executed and then followed by the main thread. Okay, so hope this tutorial helped you. See you in the next lesson. Goodbye.